Let's go next to, where do we want to go? How about Isaac from Wyoming? Isaac, you're on the air. Isaac from Wyoming, you're on the air. And Isaac is gone. That's too bad. I was looking forward to speaking to a caller from Wyoming. Let's go next to Frumpus from Chicago. Frumpus, you're on the air.
Hang on, David. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm right here.
Okay, hi, David. Glad to hear you're doing good. So I'm wondering, like, with the with Biden not going forward with the public option, I'm wondering what the strategy is there, because I and a lot of other people voted for him on that, and I'm wondering why he just decided to go with, like, lowering these deductibles. I think a public option was even part of Obamacare's initial proposal before it got cut. So what's the strategy?
I don't know. I wish I could tell you. And, you know, it's not like I'm going to be defending things that I don't think should be defended. I don't know the answer to that. And is it part of some bigger strategy? Is it part of, I don't know. And I think that being 4 months in, as I said earlier, only 4 months into the presidency, I'm still sort of open and waiting and seeing what the full trajectory is going to be. But I just don't have an answer. And, you know, I'm not the defender of everything Biden does. That's for sure.
I got you. I try to defend a lot of things Biden does, but it's really hard now. But, like, yeah, I was thinking at least rhetorically he could go with, like, this was Obama's thing and all this. And so it's just weird. Okay. Yeah, that's it from me. My girlfriend loves you, by the way. So.
Love you, David.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you. Very nice. Nice phone call. Okay. Why don't we go next to Brett from Indiana? Brett, you are on the air.
Hi, David. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Gosh, I have to admit, I'm actually super nervous talking to you right now.
You're doing great already. I can tell you're going to be great.
So, I'm not going to lie. I'm super politically active, and I wish I could ask you 20 questions, but I know we're on limited amount of time.
Right.
So, I wanted to ask you how you felt about this. So, there's this debate of D.C. and Puerto Rico statehood.
Yep.
For me, D.C., there's no debate personally. I think it needs statehood at this point. I mean, it's for another discussion, but Puerto Rico to me is a little bit more complicated because there's people who think, oh, it's just colonizers wanting to just add it to the United States. And one concern I have about it is basically there was a referendum vote about whether they should become independent or become a state, and it was 52 to 48%.
Right.
And I'm just concerned about that number because my thing is I think that number is way too low.
It's not overwhelming. It's not
Huh?
overwhelming, and there are people who say it should have been, you know, it should have a 60% threshold or more. I mean, let's go through it piece by piece. It is without question that the DC and Puerto Rico situations are not the same. There's no question. Now, you can take the position that both should be states, probably for slightly different reasons, but there's no question that the DC and Puerto Rico situations are different. Now, one of the differences is that DC residents are much more overwhelmingly in support of being a state than Puerto Rican residents are. And so what you're talking about is sort of the desire of the population and their ability to self-determine. I think that it's morally right to offer both the opportunity to be states, and certainly the people that are there can have a say in that. But I agree that they're not the same situation.
Right. And one more question, and then I'll just hit the road for you. So I was wondering, how do you feel about education in this country? Because I've always argued strongly we should expand upon it because I'm in the National Guard, and the unit I go to once a month for drill, basically, it's in this small country town in Indiana, and I'm just going to put it plainly, the high school there, it looks like crap.
Yeah.
And like I've always argued, there's this inequality of education funding. You know, small country towns, they don't get a lot of money from the state compared to like big city schools. And then, you know, schools like, you know, in places like, I don't want to call it the ghetto, that'd be rude. I would call it rather not very wealthy areas. They don't get as much money from the state. And I was just wondering, how do you feel we should expand upon education in this country? Because Trump's presidency certainly made me realize I feel like we have to work on education.
Yeah, so I mean, the educational system, this is such a big topic. It has to be completely rethought and reformed. But a couple of things are, number one, a lot of this has to do with how states are run. And you have states that pride themselves on, we have low or no income tax, or we have very low property taxes or whatever. And then you get schools that are equivalent to the amount of low tax that the states sort of brag about. You have state boards of education, including, for example, in Texas, where they are just destroying the curriculum, and you're not even getting a shot based on what these boards of education are doing. So one piece is at the state level. Federal education policy is a really tough thing, and how do you do federal policy for a country of 331 million people? It's a really difficult question to answer and a very complex one. But part of it is we've had long strings of incompetent people in federal education leadership. I mean, just look at under Trump, Betsy DeVos. Right. She had no business being in that position whatsoever. And so we can talk about specific reforms, but you've got to completely go back to the drawing board with the way that a lot of where the funding comes from, how funding is distributed, what are the metrics that are used for evaluating schools and teachers, what is done as a result of those metrics. The system is so broken, as you seem to be pointing out.
Yes, I agree. And, there are, I speak Spanish and I'm learning French and German, and basically I went to Madrid and I was really amazed as to how many, Spanish people, they spoke French, or then some of them spoke other languages because they literally learned since elementary school, basically, other languages.
No, well, the really, if you look globally, the surprising thing is how few people in the United States speak two languages. That's really the surprising thing globally. But to many Americans, it's surprising to see that so many people in other countries do speak two languages. It's completely backwards, Brett.
It is. And yeah. And so I just really hope with Biden's presidency, something can get done, because I'll say one thing. I am pretty disgusted with Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema too right now, because I feel like they're wolves in sheep's clothing.
Listen, they're with us on a lot of stuff, but they're not with us on enough stuff that it's a big concern. Brett, I appreciate the call. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And by the way, fun fact, I just drove past Columbus, Indiana, where Mike Pence is from. They wanted to put up a statue, and then I just saw a sign where they just said, Vice President Pence is from here. Fun fact.
All right, Brett, thank you. Appreciate that latest breaking news, and hope to hear from you again. Really close to a perfect phone call, my friends. That is all the time I have for calls today. Apologies if I didn't get to you, and I will hope to hear from you on the next one. One of our sponsors, PureVPN, is giving you 47% off a 1-year plan, which comes out to less than $6 a month. PureVPN makes you anonymous online, and you can trust them. They're the only VPN with an always-on third-party audit, verifying that your internet activity is not being logged. PureVPN keeps you safe from hackers, prevents you from being spied on by your ISP, social media companies, government surveillance. It lets you stream shows and movies that aren't available in your country. PureVPN is super fast with over 6,500 servers, and you can use it on all of your devices with 10 devices logged in at the same time. You can try it for a week for just 99 cents, and you'll get 47% off a 1-year plan, which is less than $6 a month when you go to davidpakman.com/VPN. The link is under this video, and you'll even get an additional 10% off when you use the code Pakman.